Hello everybody again. So this is the second part of our lesson as usual, which is about grammar, and the title, as you can see clearly, is about past perfect simple and past perfect continuous. So we have covered simple past, we have covered past perfect simple. So every time we see a tense on its own, it's easy. But when we mix up things, they become a little bit unclear and they become a little bit difficult and complicated. So the reason behind mixing up these two tenses is simply to make you able and capable of using each tense in its place and when we use the both tenses. So past perfect, simple past, past perfect simple and past perfect continuous. So as you can clearly see, here are two tenses. As usual, there is a picture on the left. We're going to read that short paragraph, and then we move to the presentation in which everything is detailed about this lesson. He'd been working hard all his life. He'd it means he had. It's okay. Some people have problems with abbreviations with acronyms. So he'd it means he had. He had been working hard all his life. He'd had a lot of different jobs. He'd worked as a truck driver, a builder, and a car mechanic, but now it was time to retire. He'd always wanted to travel, so he'd bought himself a motorbike, and now he and his dog were going to travel around the world. So as you can see here are we talk about the one person, but there are several actions which took place in the past. So we move to the presentation to make things clear and to clarify things. Presentation. Past perfect continuous. Use the past perfect continuous to talk about an action that was in progress before a given time in the past. He had been working hard all his life, but now it was time to retire. It's like, for example, think about your case. After 5 years, for example, or 6 years, you tell me I had been studying in Listiash for, I don't know, for example, 2 years or 3 years. It depends on the time, on the years you spend there. So it means you studied at Listiash, but after that you looked for a job and then you found it. So you tell me I had been studying at Listiash, and after that I had found a job. So you use past perfect continuous, and then after that you use past perfect. So you can see the timeline in the box. Time, he'd been working hard, he retired. So we have a long action in a given time in the past, and after that, an action comes after that. So it is possible that the action working hard finished before he retired, or at the point in time, it is also possible that it continued. He had been working hard all his life and he had no intention of stopping even after he'd retired. So the same case again for you. You could tell me, for example, after 2 years, and you tell me I had been studying at Listiash, and you might not have no intention to stop studying at Listiash. Maybe you are thinking about continuing your master's or PhD. Okay, it depends on everybody's context and everybody's case. To form the past perfect continuous use, had plus been plus verb plus ing. Had been working, had been dancing, had been sleeping, had been chanting, had been watching. So had been plus verb plus ing. And verb plus ing you can say also gerund. It's okay. Affirmative and negative. I, you, he, she, it, we, they, plus apostrophe plus d, or had, and negative hadn't. Been working. It's okay. So been plus verb plus ing. Questions and answers, or interrogative. Had plus the subject I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they, depends on the subject you use. Plus being, of course, plus working, plus verb plus ing, plus question mark It's very obligatory. Why? Because simply it's a question. The answer yes or no. So yes or no, both of them plus plus subject. I, you, he, she, it, we, or they. If you have the yes, it means affirmative. Had. If you answer with no, it means negative, and negative you use hadn't. So this is for past perfect continuous. Now, past perfect continuous or past perfect simple. Use the past perfect simple to talk about two main ideas. The first one, a single complete events in the past. He'd worked as a truck driver, he'd bought a bike. So the action is finished, is complete in the past. It's like you tell me I had taken my baccalaureate. So the baccalaureate is in your house. You took it in X time, in X date in the past. Okay, the action is complete. You tell me I had taken my baccalaureate, or I had taken my driving license. Now you can drive a car because why? Because you have a driving license, and the driving license you got it in X time also in the past, and the action is complete. The second use is repeated actions when we give the number of times the action is repeated. He had done a lot of different jobs in his lifetime. So when you make a series of events, use use past perfect. You can see the timeline in the box. Time, he did a lot of different jobs. He decided to retire, he retired. So here we have a series of action of repeated actions. Use the past perfect continuous to talk about how long an action or series of action was in progress. He had been working hard all his life. He had been riding his bike for 5 hours without stopping. You don't usually use stative verbs in the past perfect continuous. Say, I had known him for years. We cannot say, I had been knowing him for years. It's okay. So this is the lesson in brief. Now we move to the part of the exercises.
Exercise 4.
So as usual for
We'd
exercises,
been working for the
exercise
same
one,
company for
look
a
at the
couple of
pictures and
months.
complete the sentences
I'd seen her in the
with
distance
new
and I'd
sentences in the
noticed
past.
how attractive she
This
was,
is
but
very
we'd
simple,
never
so please
spoken.
pay attention when you have read
Then,
it.
while we'd been doing a training course
Exercise
together,
2, choose the
we
correct
finally got to
form
know
of the
each
verb
other.
to complete the story.
We'd been having a
So
drink
you've
with
got
the other
there two
people on the
options for
course at the
each
end of the
lesson,
first day,
and you are going
and we
to
had all been
choose
talking
to
about how
circle or
difficult it
underline this
was.
one.
I hadn't
Exercise 3,
noticed that she
complete
was
the text
standing
using the
just
past perfect
behind
simple
me.
or past
I
perfect
laughed
continuous
at one of the
form
jokes,
of the
stepped
verbs in
back,
brackets,
and
then listen
spilt
to
her
text.
drink down her
So
dress.
pay very
I
particular
had
attention
never
to
felt
this
so
word and
embarrassed
fill in
in
the
my
blanks.
life. But she was really nice about it. I bought her another drink and we got talking. She told me she had just bought a house on my street and that she had been spending her weekends painting and decorating. I offered to help her. That's how it all started.
The jokes set back. Okay, and exercise 4, and finally, write some examples of your own. You can write 2 or 3 or 6. Okay, so depending on your capacity and on your capability. Okay, this is the end. I was very glad and happy to present to you this lesson. Of course, as usual, if something is not clear, you can contact me through either Facebook or Gmail. So this is it. Thank you very much for interacting. I wish you the best of luck.